Okay. Sorry. That's awesome. Judge, it seems that Miss Bagley is in the hospital.
Yes. So I am ordering that her case be continued to the evening session.
Yeah, I think that,
Christopher Chapman.
Please state your name.
Christopher Chapman.
Mr. Chapman, you are here on your first appearance for several charges, including driving on a suspended license and theft, shoplifting. Two of those, well, you've got driving on a suspended out of Marana, theft and shoplifting out of Oro Valley, and driving on a suspended license, I believe, out of Pima County Justice Court. Sir, if you, well, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choosing, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. It looks like there has been a period of failing to appear on these charges. And if I were to order that you be held, you would be able to be heard on all of these charges tomorrow. So I am going to order that you be held on the Marana City Court, driving on a suspended license on a bond of $250. And I'm going to appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you. That will be your court date in the Marana City Court case will be tomorrow at noon for a case management conference. You'll be made available by the jail. Should you postpone and be released, further conditions are that you do not drive without a valid license. And if you were to postpone and be released, you would need to appear for that hearing. If you failed to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. On the Oro Valley theft charges, your court date will be tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and the jail will make you available for that hearing. And I'm also ordering a bond of $250 cash or secured. In that case, if you were to be released, you would need to appear at that hearing, or a warrant could issue for your arrest. And is Janet available for Oro Valley too? Oh, nope, I found her. It's Richard Glenn I'm appointing to represent you in that case. If you were to be released, do not return to the incident location and do not have any contact with the alleged victims. And then for the Justice Court case, you'll be heard tomorrow at 1 p.m. that is for an arraignment with Judge Pesquiera. The jail will make you available if you were to be released. It would be your responsibility to appear. If you failed to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. And further conditions of release include that you do not drive without a valid license. And I will appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you in that case as well.
When you get on this system. Because that's why.
Sir, do you understand?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
What did Chapman get for the Justice Court?
Oh, each one was $250.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Slowing down.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Yes.
Ms. Elias, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. You also have the right to hire the attorney of your choice if you choose. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today. It looks like you may be eligible for a diversion program called STEPS. If you are interested in that program, you would be required to participate in some treatment. And if you successfully completed it, it is possible that the state would not go forward with these charges. Are you interested?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to set your case for a STEPS hearing on March 4th at 9 a.m. At that hearing, they will determine your eligibility for the program. You'll have the opportunity to speak further with an attorney about the program and meet with pretrial services and treatment providers. One thing we do ask is if you are willing to waive the time for your preliminary hearing. Usually the state is required to file the indictment and hold your preliminary hearing within 20 days. However, in order to give time for you to be assessed and enter the diversion program, I'm asking that you give them 45 days to do that. Is that okay with you?
Judge, if I could just get one second.
Of course. Yes.
Yes, Judge, Ms. Elias wastes time.
Thank you. So then I am going to order that you be released to pretrial services. You'll be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Further conditions of release are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons. Your STEPS hearing will be March 4th at 9 a.m. and your preliminary hearing will be scheduled for April 11th at 1:30. If you were accepted into the STEPS program, that preliminary hearing may not go forward, so you'll want to stay in touch with your attorney. And if you were to fail to appear at future hearings, a warrant could issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Judge, is it the public defender appointed?
Oh, yes, I thought I said that earlier, but yes.
I might have missed it, Judge.
No worries. Thank you.
So it's gonna
Good morning. Please state your name. Mr. German, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today. Sir, if I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at your future court date, would you appear?
Yes, ma'am.
I would also order that you have no contact with the alleged victim and that you do not return to the incident location. Is that going to be a problem? All right. So I am going to order that you be released on your promise to appear at future hearings. Further orders are that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you have no contact with the alleged victim and do not return to the incident location. Your next court date is going to be March 27th. That's at 10:30 in the morning for an arraignment before Judge Garza. If you fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're excused for today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sit back up in the corner. Your Honor?
Yes.
I don't know if I said it at the beginning here, but Ogeen refused.
I do have that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Mikel? Brandon?
Oh, Brandon.
Nicole. Okay.
Yep.
Please state your name.
Brandon Mickle.
Mr. Mickle, you are here for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, and failure to appear.
Yeah.
Prior similar charges.
Yeah.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choosing, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today.
Okay.
Just take a quick look here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I have reviewed the complaint and also information provided by pretrial services.
Yeah.
Sir, if I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at your next court date, would you appear?
Yes, I would.
All right, on your Pima County Justice Court case, I am going to order that you be released on your promise to appear. I am further ordering that you possess or consume no alcohol or legal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you have no contact with the alleged victim and do not return to the incident location or victim's residence and workplace.
Okay.
Were you living there?
Yeah, I was living there. Yeah.
All right, so would you need to return once with a law enforcement escort to pick up some belongings?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to include that in my order that you can return once to pick up belongings. And sir, if you need help with a place to go, there is a trailer outside of the jail. Once you're released, you can go to the transition center there. and they may be able to help you with some resources.
Oh, yeah.
Your next court date is going to be March 27th at 10:30 a.m. in the Pima County Justice Court case. That's for an arraignment before Judge Garza. Should you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And then I'm going to turn to your city court case, which is the failure to appear on charges of disorderly conduct and domestic violence disorderly conduct.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, I'm also going to release you on your promise to appear. In that case, your next court date is going to be March 27th
Okay.
at 9 a.m. That's going to be before Judge Cranshaw at Tucson City Court. Was that the same date as the other one? For Michael, what date did I give him in Justice Court? What time? Okay. Okay. All right, so they are an hour and a half apart. I think if you let the court know that you need to go to another hearing at 10:30, they will handle your case early. So I am going to keep that date, March 27th at 9 a.m. before Judge Cranshaw. Further conditions that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact with the alleged victim.
Who's the alleged victim?
I believe that this is also your mother.
Can you state her name? Pretty please.
What'd you say? It's not in the complaint here, so I was just trying to find what it means over in here. But it is in the other case. I put his mother's name in his other case. Can you tell me what it is? Darnella Weil is who you are not allowed to have any contact with.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you understand that if you fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you.
Okay, Nickel. Out. Nickel. Out. Okay.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Brandon Ortiz.
Is it Ortiz Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ortiz Gonzalez, this is the time for your initial appearance. On a few different matters, we have a driving on suspended license that was in failure to appear warrant status. We also have driving with a false license plate. And Tucson City charges of DUI, racing, reckless driving, exceeding the speed limit. Those are out of Tucson City Court. So you have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by the attorney of your, well, you have the right to hire the attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. Sir, if I were to order that you be released on your Pima County Justice Court cases, would you appear for those cases?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So on the Pima County Justice Court matters, I am going to order that you be released on your promise to appear. I'm further ordering that you do not drive without a valid license. And your court date in that case is going to be March 10th at 10:30 at Pima County Justice Court. That's before Judge Garza for a case management conference. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Then turning to your city court matters.
Per unit.
I am also going to order that you be released on your promise to appear. Your next court date is going to be April 3rd at 9 a.m. That'll be before Judge Verena at Tucson City Court. I'm further ordering that you do not drive without a valid license, that you do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. And if you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're excused for today.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll have to see back up to the corner. But
Please state your name.
Check.
Mr. Shack, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of theft and driving under the influence. These are out of Sarita Municipal Court. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and under certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. It looks like these cases have been going on for several years now. And so I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $500. That'll be cash or secured. Your next court date will be March 4th at 3 p.m. That will be for a case management conference at Sarita Municipal Court. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. If you are released, it will be your responsibility to appear at that hearing. If you do post bond and be released, additional orders are that you may not drive without a valid license, that you may possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you may not have any contact with the alleged victim and not return to the incident location of the theft charges. Do you understand that a warrant can issue for your arrest if you fail to appear for future court dates?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Here you go.
Please state your name.
Luis Verdugo.
Mr. Verdugo, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges related to domestic violence. It's like disorderly conduct is the specific offense. These are out of Green Valley Justice Court. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I have reviewed the complaint provided by law enforcement. I have also reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have also been informed that there is an immigration hold filed on you. So if you were to be released on this charge, you would be released to ICE custody.
Okay.
So I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $500. That's cash or secured.
Okay.
And that way you can remain here and deal with this charge. If you were to post bond and be released, if that hold were to go away, further orders would be that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you have no contact with the alleged victim and do not return to the incident location. And I'm assuming that's where you were living, so you would need to return there to obtain belongings if you were released.
Okay.
I'll include that in my order. Your next court date is going to be February 27th at 8:30 in the morning at Green Valley Justice Court. The jail will make you available for that hearing. If you were to post bond and be released, it would be your responsibility to appear, and a warrant could issue for your arrest if you did not. Do you understand?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
So if I post bail, I will be released to ICE, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I believe that if they make you unavailable for your next hearing, that can be considered voluntary, and so you can lose your bond.
Okay.
Any other
So
questions?
do you suggest not to post bail, or can I ask you that, or no?
I
Do I have
can't
to talk to an attorney?
not give you legal advice. You would want to talk
Okay.
to somebody about that. But I have told you what is most likely going to happen if you do post.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're excused.
All right. Yeah. Ewing?
Hi, Your Honor.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Good morning. My name is John Lance Ewing.
All right. Mr. Ewing, this is the time set for your initial appearance on several charges out of Justice Court. It looks like City Court. It looks like they were all on warrant status, and they include assault, disorderly conduct, threats and intimidation, driving under the influence of alcohol and also of drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I believe those are separate cases. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice, but I am appointing the public defender to represent you, the City of Tucson public defender.
I know.
And, I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $500. That'll be cash or secured, that you do not drive without a valid license, that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you have no contact of any kind with the alleged victims in the assault, disorderly conduct, or threats and intimidation case, that you do not return to the incident location or the victim's residence or workplace. And your
I
next,
have no idea who these people are.
okay, then hopefully that will make it easy not to have any contact with them.
Sure. Yeah.
Let me see.
Would I be able to be released on my own recognizance?
Sir, no, I am ordering that you be held because you have had a number of cases going on dating back to 2019, no, 2018 actually. So I am going to order that you be held on that bond of $500. And if you post it, you've heard my additional release conditions. I am appointing the public defender to represent you, so you will be able to ask them questions. Your next court date is going to be March 7th at 1:45. That's before Judge Verena. The jail will make you available for that hearing. If you were to bond out and be released, your next hearing would be April 3rd at 9 a.m. If you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
I do.
All right. Thank you. You're excused for today.
Thanks.
I, it's,
Good morning. Please state your name.
my name is Chanel Frank.
Ms. Frank, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and criminal damage. These are out of Tucson City Court. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today. If I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at your next court date, would you appear at your next court date?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then I will order that. I'm also ordering that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you have no contact with Laverne Enos, your mother, and your little sister, and that you do not return to their residence or the incident location. Do you have somewhere else to go, ma'am?
No, I don't.
All right, so there is a trailer outside of the jail. When you are released, you can go to that trailer. It's the transition center, and they can help you with resources about somewhere else to go. It's also possible that this condition could change in the future if requested by the alleged victims. We were not able to get in touch with them, and so I have to order no contact with them. Your next court date is going to be March 25th at 2:30 in the afternoon. That is before Judge Mayhew at Tucson
Oh,
City.
when is it?
March 25th
March 25th.
at 2:30, and you're going to get copies of the paperwork before you're released.
Okay.
And if you fail to appear at that court date, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please state your name.
James Anthony McCullough.
Mr. McCullough, you are here on your initial appearance on several matters out of Tucson City Court. It looks like the bulk of them were in failure to appear warrant status. They include shoplifting, criminal trespass, obstructing drainage, possession of drug paraphernalia, and disorderly conduct, domestic violence.
One of them is a new case, yes.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. The last one is the new case, I believe. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice, and I am going to appoint the City of Tucson public defender to represent you. I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $500, cash or secured. Your next court date is going to be March 5th at 1:30 in the afternoon. Should you post bond and fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can be issued for your arrest. Further conditions of release include that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you have no contact of any kind with Brittany Hicks, do not return to her residence or workplace or the incident location. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. May I ask, is it possible to work out some sort of a release with pretrial? I have an interview coming up this week, and I also have a court date on March 5th. I was planning on handling the warrant situation right before this came up. I don't want to miss my interview. It's for a very decent job. That I won't be able to get it, but I'm not able to get this interview. I know the court probably, I know how things in the past look, but I was making plans to have these taken care of on March 5th when I go to the upcoming court case. And get everything cleaned up, so I would be able to get that job.
Sir, these have been going on for 5 years.
Yes, ma'am. I
So
understand.
I am going to order that you be held on the bond of $500. I hope you are able to reschedule your job interview.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you. Good morning. Please state your name.
Morning, Judge. My name is Joseph Oslin.
Mr. Oslin, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of disorderly conduct. That is a domestic violence offense. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choosing, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed for you. If I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at your next court date, would you appear at your next court date?
Yes, Judge.
All right. So I am going to order that you're released on your promise to appear. I'm further ordering that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you have no contact of any kind with Courtney Oslin, and that you do not return to her residence or the incident location. Sir, do you have somewhere else to go?
Yeah, Courtney doesn't even live there. She, it's not even her residence. That's my RV that I own. Parked at a friend's house. She doesn't even live there.
All right, let me.
But I can absolutely adhere to the no contact, Judge. As far as I know, she removed her items last night with the police, and she's not there.
Where did you receive that information, sir?
Where did I receive what information?
The information that she removed her belongings and moved out.
Oh, because she was actively doing that when the police were there.
All right, so I'm going to remove incident location from this form. So you're not prohibited from returning to the incident location, but you are prohibited from having contact with her or going to her residence. So if she is still living there, then you cannot go back there.
I understand that. I understand that.
All right. Your next court date will be March 25th. That's at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is before Judge Million at Tucson City Court. If you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
I do.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you, Judge.
Was that? It was for one of the, yeah, and I saw him go on. Yeah. Okay.
Please state your name.
Stephen Alabi.
Mr. Alavi, you are here on your initial appearance for charges out of Maricopa County. Looks like there's a warrant with a $10,000 bond on it out of Maricopa County. And then you also have Tucson City Court cases of resisting arrest. So for the Maricopa County case, I am going to set a review hearing to see if you are still here or if you have been released to Maricopa County. That's going to be set for March 25th at 9 a.m. And then moving on to your Tucson City Court case, it looks like if I were to order that you be held on this case so that you could resolve this charge before you were released to Maricopa County, your next court date would be March 7th.
Judge, I'm sorry, for clarity, is there a bond set on the out of county?
Yes, it's
Recent bond?
$10,000.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
So, sir, I am going to order a $100 bond on your Tucson City Court cases that is cash or secured. And I am going to appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender to represent you. If you were to post that bond, you would be released to Maricopa County, and it would be your responsibility to appear for future hearings. If you remain in custody, your next hearing in the Tucson City case will be March 7th at 1:45 p.m. before Judge Maldonado. And if you were to be released, your court date will be March 26th at 9:30 a.m. before Judge Maldonado. If you fail to appear for that date, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You are excused for today.
Judge, if I may, would you reconsider the bond on the Maricopa case? He is under the impression that the warrant was quashed.
It has been filed.
Just a moment. Do you have any reason to? And then let me look. Under here. Oh, and I see that he also has an ICE hold that I missed before.
Mr. Alavi, Judge?
Oh, sorry, maybe I have the wrong paperwork handed back to me. Oh, okay, I see. Yes. All right. No, the information that I have, that was the wrong document on top. The information I have does show that the warrant is still active. So I am not going to change that bond at this time. You have the state recommendation for the next one. Thank you.
Carlson? Okay.
Please state your name.
Alicia Carlson.
Ms. Carlson, this is the time set for your initial appearance on a few different matters. You have new charges of possession of narcotic drugs, weapons misconduct, child abuse, transport of a drug for sale out of Pima County Justice Court. And then you also have an assault case, which was on warrant status out of Tucson City Court. Well, on all of these charges, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you on the new charges. And I have reviewed the interim complaint describing the circumstances around the new charges. I have also reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $30,000 in each of the new cases concurrently and released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. And I am aware of the aggravating circumstances surrounding that recommendation. Do you need to be heard further, Mr. Poston?
Considering the court's message as far as that goes, the state does not have anything further to say.
Thank you.
Other than to concur in the absolute gravity of the situation.
Thank you. And defense, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Judge. We're asking that Ms. Carlson is released to pretrial services, or if you're not inclined, a significantly lower bond. Based on the information from the interim complaint, she called 911 for help for her family and fully cooperated with the investigation once they got there. So based on the information from the interim complaint, it looks like she was fully cooperative with an investigation. It looks like she, based solely on the information from the interim complaint, that she is not involved in these charges. So we are asking that she is released to pretrial services. Again, just to emphasize, she called 911 for family help and fully cooperated with the investigation. If she were released to pretrial services, she would go to her mother's. So she is going to be able to remove herself from the situation by going to her mother. She has a good relationship with her mother and her mother's supportive. So we're asking for release to pretrial services. And to further emphasize, she has no felony convictions. So again, Judge, just to emphasize, we're asking for pretrial services for Ms. Carlson, given that it looks like she is not significantly involved in these charges based on the interim complaint, and she fully cooperated with an investigation.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
state would respectfully disagree in part with what was said. Family member in question had THC in their system. It's absolutely atrocious, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Considering all of the information before me, I am going to order that you be held on a $20,000 bond. I am going to order that be concurrent between the cases. Your next court date is going to be March 7th. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is for a preliminary hearing. It is possible that will change, so it's important to keep in touch with your attorney from the public defender's office. If you are to post the bond and be released, you will be released to pretrial services. You'll be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You will be ordered to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, to possess no firearms or weapons. If you do have any weapons in your possession, to surrender those to law enforcement, and to have no unsupervised contact with any minors.
Yeah.
If you were to post bond and fail to appear for your next hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. You're excused for today.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Oh,
ma'am. I forgot to address your city court charge. So on that one, it is was it the same alleged victim in that case?
Judge,
Are they talking about my son passed away?
Okay.
Judge, that's another somebody's completely different.
That's what I thought. Just making sure. There was a little bit of confusing information in here. All right, so on your city court case, I am going to order that you are not being held on that case, but if you are still in custody on your other charges, you will be heard on that case. Actually, no, it's the same either way. You'll be seen on that case April 18th at 9 a.m. That will be with Judge Hale, and your conditions of release in that case include possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and have no contact of any kind with the alleged victim in that case. Abide by any previous conditions of release ordered in that case. And should you fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. If you remain in custody on your other charges, the jail will make you available for this hearing. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
I haven't received the state recommendations yet. Will you send them to me, please?
What is your email address?
Twyla.haggerty@pima.gov.
Thank you.
Please state your name.
Hector Gonzalez.
Great, Mr. Gonzalez. This is the time for your initial appearance on charges including unlawful possession of a narcotic drug for sale, weapons misconduct, transport of a narcotic drug for sale, and child abuse. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the legal advocate to represent you at this time. And if you chose, you could hire the attorney of your choosing. There is an attorney present with you today for the purposes of today's hearing, and we are going to turn to your conditions of release. And then I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you. I have also reviewed the interim complaints, and I have reviewed the state's request that you be held on no bond. It looks like you were,
Your Honor,
Mr. Poston?
state's going to modify their recommendation of $40,000 concurrent.
Okay. All right, so I have reviewed the information, including the state's updated recommendation that you be held on a concurrent bond of $40,000 and released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Judge, we're asking for a $10,000 bond for Mr. Gonzalez. He's very young and he's a lifelong resident of Tucson.
Thank you. All right, I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $25,000. That'll be cash or secured. Should you post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. Additional orders include that you do not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons. If there are any weapons in your possession, that you surrender them to law enforcement. You will submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You will not return to the incident location, and you will not have any contact with the victim's family.
The victim's family, so
Right. No questions, Judge.
Thank you. Your next court date is March 7th at 1:30. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. If you are released, you will be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you have any questions?
no, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today. Thank you. Is the interpreter present?
I do see her on the screen. Oh, there she is.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, wonderful. It's my understanding that the victim in this case needs the services of the interpreter.
Buenos días, señora. Tengo entendido que usted es la víctima del caso y quiere usted hablar en español.
Sir, please state your name.
Jose Alejandres?
Mr. Alejandro, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, aggravated assault, possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, disorderly conduct, and discharging a firearm in city limits.
Señor Alejandro, esta es su comparecencia inicial con cargos de violencia doméstica, agresión con agravantes, posesión de armas, teniendo prohibido poseer armas, disparar un arma dentro de los límites de la ciudad.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice, and I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you.
Tiene derecho a guardar, tiene derecho a guardar silencio, todo lo que usted diga se puede usar en su contra, tiene derecho a tener un abogado, voy a nombrar a la oficina del defensor público para que lo represente a usted.
We're going to talk about your conditions of release. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services as well as the interim complaint.
Vamos a hablar con respecto a sus condiciones de libertad. Ya revisé la información que presentó la agencia previos al juicio y la queja interina.
And I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $30,000 and released to pretrial services if released.
También he usado la información de la fiscalía que recomiendan una fianza de $30,000. Si usted paga esta fianza, se va a poner en libertad bajo la supervisión de la agencia previos al juicio.
And I am inclined to order a bond in a high amount based on my concerns about the severity and the risk posed by these allegations.
Estoy considerando, tengo la inclinación de considerar una fianza de cantidad alta basada en las preocupaciones que tengo respecto a qué tan graves son los cargos y el riesgo que usted posa por los cargos que tiene usted.
However, it's my understanding that the victim would also like to be heard. And so before I decide, we will hear from the victim as well as the attorneys. So Ms. Raquel Rodriguez, if you would like to be heard, you may speak now.
Pero tengo entendido que la víctima quiere dar su opinión. Entonces voy a permitir que la víctima dé su opinión y después voy a permitir a que los abogados presenten sus opiniones. Así que, señora Raquel Rodríguez, si usted tiene algo que decir, ahora es su oportunidad.
Pues él se ha portado muy violento últimamente, me ha agredido y pues yo no quiero vivir una vida así.
Well, un momentito. Well, he's been behaving very violent lately, and he has been aggressive towards me. And I don't want to have a life. I don't want to live a life like that.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell me before I decide his conditions of release, ma'am?
¿Hay algo más que usted me quiera decir, señora, antes de que yo decida cuáles son las condiciones de libertad que le voy a imponer?
Pues sí, porque aparte de que todo el tiempo me hacía las cosas, las hacía delante de mi hijo y eso no está bien. Agredió a mi otro hijo. Son tantas cosas que tengo que decir, pero yo nomás tampoco lo quiero cerca de nosotros.
Okay, momentito. Well, yes, it's because all the time, all the things that he did to me, he did them in front of my son, and that's not okay. And he's also has been very aggressive towards my son. And I have a lot of things to say, but I just don't want him around us.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Would
Muchas gracias, señor.
the state like to be heard any further?
Your Honor, I think the victim's words speak for themselves. This person is a menace. He brought a firearm into the works, and he is a danger.
And would the defense like to be heard?
One moment, Your Honor. One moment, Your Honor.
Oh.
Sí, voy a preguntarle ahora a la fiscalía si tiene algo más que decir. La fiscalía indica, sí, su señoría, las palabras de la víctima indican todo claramente. Esta persona es una amenaza y involucró armas en esto. Ahora después le pregunta al abogado si tiene algo más que decir.
Yes, Judge, before I argue bond, I would like to argue probable cause for the prohibited possessor, if I may.
Sí, su señoría, antes de que hable con respecto a la fianza que quiero solicitar, quisiera también presentar un alegato con respecto al fundamento de la causa o motivo justificante teniendo prohibido el uso de armas, indica la abogada del acusado.
You may go ahead.
Judge, for Mr. Alejandres, there is documentation that his rights were restored as of 2023. The interim complaint mentions that there's no mention in the paperwork of the 2017 case. However, probation was terminated early in that case in 2019, and his rights were restored 4 years later. So, based on that, it looks like the court was aware of both cases and still restored his rights. So we're asking to dismiss the prohibited possessor charge.
Great.
One moment, please. Sí, el señor Alejandro indica en sus documentos de que ya le restauraron sus derechos civiles. Esto fue en el año 2023. En la queja interina no menciona nada con respecto a los documentos del caso del 2017. Pero en el caso del 2017, él terminó con su libertad de prueba antes de tiempo en el 2016. Y en ese entonces fue que le restauraron sus derechos civiles. Después, el juez estuvo informado de que estos dos casos existían. Entonces, por esa razón, yo indico que deben desestimar y quitarle el cargo de tener prohibido el uso de armas.
Thank you. So I'm not going to hold him on those charges, but the rule for the initial appearance doesn't allow me to dismiss them. It's the rule for preliminary hearing that allows for dismissal. So I'll let his attorney address that at the preliminary hearing, but he won't be held on the weapons charge today.
Muy bien, gracias. Entonces, yo no le voy a ordenar que se quede detenido en esos cargos, pero la regla para las comparecencias iniciales no me permite desestimar ese cargo. Eso sucede durante la audiencia preliminar. Entonces, voy a permitir que su abogado se encargue de esto con la audiencia preliminar. Así, pero ahorita no lo voy a ordenar que se quede detenido a causa del cargo del uso de armas.
And if I may be heard on bond, Judge?
I just want to clarify before you go forward that I specifically mean the prohibited possessor charge, not the unlawful discharge of a firearm or aggravated assault with a deadly weapon or disorderly conduct with a weapon. I just realized that might be confusing. Once the interpreter is finished, you can go forward.
Thank you. Ok, la abogada del acusado pide, su señoría, ¿puedo hablar con respecto a la fianza? Y la juez dice, un momento, quiero aclarar con respecto a dos cosas. Estoy simplemente hablando acerca del cargo de tener prohibido el uso de armas, pero no estoy hablando con respecto al cargo de haber disparado una arma, el uso inapropiado de una arma con agresión con agravantes y el uso de arma en el caso de violencia doméstica. Esos no son los cargos a los cuales me estoy refiriendo. Sé que eso puede causar un poco de confusión, pero simplemente refiero a tener prohibido el uso de armas. Cuando termine la intérprete ya puede hablar con respecto a la fianza de la abogada. Thank you.
And Judge, we're respectfully asking that you consider a lower bond for Mr. Alejandres. He is self-employed. He has clients that he's scheduled to see this week. If you're released, he go to his father's house and he has lifelong ties to Tucson.
Su señoría, entonces yo estoy solicitando que respetuosamente, por favor, le imponga una fianza baja. El señor Alejandres trabaja por su cuenta, tiene clientes a los que él tiene que ver esta semana y si lo dejan salir va a regresar a la casa de su papá y tiene lazos de vida aquí en la ciudad de Tucson. Gracias.
I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $20,000 that will be cash or secured. If you post it, you'll be released to pretrial services.
Voy a ordenar que pague una fianza de $20,000 en efectivo o garantizado. Si usted lo paga y sale en libertad, voy a ordenar que esté bajo la supervisión de la agencia previos al juicio.
Additional orders will be that you submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, that you possess no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you commit no acts of domestic violence.
Órdenes adicionales es que si paga la fianza y sale en libertad, debe usted no consumir ninguna bebida alcohólica, no puede tener uso de una droga ilícita, ni tener armas o armas de fuego, ni tampoco cometer un acto de violencia doméstica.
Additionally, that you have no contact with the alleged victims, that you do not return to the incident location, that you do not go to the alleged victim's residence,
Adicionalmente, que no debe tomar contacto con las presuntas víctimas, que no regrese al lugar de residencia de las víctimas ni al lugar donde sucedió el incidente.
If you need to pick up belongings from that home, I will order that you may return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings.
Si tiene que regresar a esa casa para recoger sus pertenencias, voy a ordenar que pueda regresar a esa casa una sola vez, acompañado de agentes del orden público para recoger sus cosas.
Your next court date will be March 7th at 1:30 p.m. for a preliminary hearing.
Su próxima audiencia en la corte será el 7 de marzo a la 1:30 para la audiencia preliminar.
And if you are still in custody, the jail will make you available. If you have posted bond and been released, it's your responsibility to appear.
Si usted todavía está detenido en la cárcel se va a asegurar de que esté disponible. Si usted paga la fianza y sale en libertad, es su responsabilidad de presentarse.
And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Y si usted no se presenta en su corte, se puede emitir una orden por su arresto. ¿Entiende usted esto?
And you are excused for today. Thank you.
Thank
Y
you.
ya se puede retirar por el día de hoy. Gracias. Your Honor, may the interpreter also be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. The interpreter is disconnected.
What? Go back up. You're.
Oh, thank you. Please state your name.
Mr.
Mr. Alvarez, you are here on your initial appearance for charges of aggravated assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. I have reviewed some information provided by pretrial services. And I have reviewed the recommendation from the state that you be held on the warrant amount, which was $10,000. At this point in time, I would be inclined to uphold the warrant amount. Do you need to be heard any further, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
And would the defense like to be heard?
Judge, we're asking that you reconsider judge and release him to pretrial services, or if you're not inclined to lower bond. Pretrial services identified him as a level 1, which is the lowest level of supervision needs. He was not aware of court at the time. He has lifelong ties to Tucson. He has confirmed housing and the support of his mother. And based on what I'm seeing on pretrial, judge, it looks like he has no prior felonies. And he's also very young. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial or a much lower bond.
And Mr. Poston, if I considered lowering the bond, would you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to order that you be held on a bond of $5,000. That's cash or secured. If you are able to post, you will be released to pretrial services. The additional orders will be that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. that you have no contact with the alleged victim, do not return to the incident location. Your next court date will be March 7th at 1:30 p.m. That's a Pima County Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. That hearing date could change, so it's important to stay in touch with your attorney. If you are still in custody, the jail will make you available for the hearing. However, if you have been released, it's your responsibility to appear. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judge, just for clarity, should the 7th be an arraignment?
You know,
Am I seeing this correctly?
what was put in my system was a preliminary hearing, but let's see, has an arraignment occurred? So I think it probably should be an arraignment, so I will put that in there.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. You're excused for today. Do you have the recommendation for this one? Sure. Please state your name.
Alvaro Chaparro.
Mr. Chaparro, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, aggravated assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choosing. I'm appointing the public defender to represent you in this case. And it looks like you also have domestic violence charges out of South Tucson City Court. So we're going to talk about your conditions of release. We're going to start with the new charges out of Pima County Justice Court. I have reviewed information provided to pretrial services and from pretrial services. And my understanding is that the victim, Ariana Garcia, is present here today. Ms. Garcia, would you like to be heard before the attorneys make any argument and I make a decision on conditions of release?
Yes.
All right, you can go ahead.
I was just when I was over there, I felt like I was said like I feel like I was there against. I wasn't supposed to be there against my own will. Like he was forcing me to stay there, even though I tried leaving. And I felt like if I didn't leave when I did, then I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be gone. I wouldn't be alive.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here today. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No.
Thank you. I have reviewed the interim complaint and the recommendation by the state that you be held, sir, on a bond of $25,000. If posted, that you be released to pretrial services. I am very concerned about the nature of these allegations and the risk you pose to the victim. So I am inclined to follow the state's recommendation or at least something close to it. Would you need to be heard any further, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
And defense, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Judge. We're asking that you reconsider your inclination and release Mr. Chaparro to pretrial services, or if you're not inclined, a lower bond. He is employed. He's been with the same employer for 3 years. He's a lifelong resident of Tucson. He has 2 places he can go if you're released: his mother's house and the home he rents. He and the victim in this case do not live together. And based on what I'm seeing in pretrial services, he has no felony priors. So, Judge, we're asking that you reconsider your inclination, release him to pretrial services or a lower bond.
I am going to order, sir, that you be held on a bond of $25,000. That'll be cash or secured. If you do post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. Additional orders will be that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons. If there are any firearms in your possession, that you surrender them to local law enforcement. Submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Absolutely no contact of any kind with the alleged victim. Do not return to, let me see. Do not return to the incident location. Do not go to the victim's residence or workplace. Do not contact her from jail. Your next court date will be March 7th at 1:30 p.m. That's scheduled for a preliminary hearing. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available. If you are released, you will be responsible to appear at that hearing. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Judges, does he need to be seen on the South Tucson case?
Oh,
I'll go get him.
thank you. So sorry. Okay. Got it. Mr. Chaparro, you will be seen tomorrow for your South Tucson City Court case. That's tomorrow, February 26th at 10 a.m. for a criminal arraignment. If you were to, I'm going to order a $500 bond, cash or secured in that case. If you were to fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. And I am appointing Michael Vaughn to represent you in that case. If you were released in that case, no contact with the alleged victim. Do not go to the victim's residence or workplace. Do not possess firearms. Do not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Now we're finished.
I'll let you go back. So I've seen a little. I'll say.
Please state your name.
Derek Kosich.
Mr. Kose, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of burglary in the 3rd degree. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And let's see. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you, sir. I have also reviewed the interim complaint, and I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $3,500, released to pretrial services if released. Do you need to be heard further, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Kose is released to pretrial services. These charges are non-violent, and additionally, he has no felony priors. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services.
All right. I am going to order, sir, that you be released to pretrial services today. Your further orders are that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, that you have no contact with the alleged victim, do not return to the incident location. Your next court date is going to be March 17th. That's at 1:30 p.m. And that is scheduled for a preliminary hearing. That court date could change, so stay in touch with your attorney. You will be responsible to appear at your future court hearings, and if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand? Thank you. You're excused for today.
Good.
Yeah.
Please state your name.
Mason Frost.
Mr. Frost, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of criminal damage, aggravated assault, and DUI, driving under the influence. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the public defender to represent you. I have reviewed the interim complaint. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $15,000, and that if that bond is posted, that you be released to pretrial services. Would you like to be heard further, Mr. Poston?
Your Honor, this person is alleged to have fled the police. He's 18 years old. By all indications, he was incredibly drunk, upwards of 75 miles an hour, through a populated area near La Cholla and Ruthroff, and didn't stop until he slammed into a vehicle. He could have killed somebody, Your Honor. And in his own words on the police report, he admitted that he effed up. This person, the fact that this person didn't kill somebody is an absolute miracle. $15,000.
And defense?
Judge, we're asking that Mason's released to pretrial services. Again, he is very young. He's 18 years old. He has no priors at all. He's a lifelong resident of Tucson. He has confirmed housing, and he's scheduled to start working this week.
Is there a bond that that he believes he could post?
Judge, based on a quick conversation about collateral he has, I believe he may be able to post between a $5,000 and $10,000 bond.
All right. I am going to order, sir, that you be held on a bond of $5,000, cash or secured, that you do not drive. I'm actually going to order that you do not drive at all if released at this point in time. That order can be changed by a future judge at your next hearing. No alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no firearms or weapons, no contact with the alleged victim. Mr. Poston, from the police report, did the crash occur in the middle of the street or on some kind of private property?
Your Honor, it looks like a head-on collision on the street.
And
So, Your Honor, this state would urge the court to reconsider and set this at 10,000. It seems to be that that was something the defense said was affordable for this defendant. He's 18 years old. He was incredibly drunk and he slammed into somebody. It looks like a head-on collision.
I am going to maintain my order of $5,000, cash or secured. Sir, your next hearing is going to be on March 7th. That is at 1:30 p.m. For a preliminary hearing, you're responsible to appear at that hearing. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Hartwick.
Sir, please state your name.
John Hartwig.
Mr. Hartwig, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. Mr. Poston, I see that you've requested to dismiss. I'm not sure if this is both or just one of the charges.
One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Hartwig's case, let me check. For narcotic drug and drug paraphernalia, the state dismisses both de minimis.
All right, on the request of the state, it is ordered dismissing the charges, and Mr. Hartwig, you will be released. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. You're excused. Is there?
Okay.
Okay.
Just, you know, I did not know. Let's see.
Please state your name.
ACA.
Ms. Hay, you are here on your first appearance for a felony warrant on charges having to do with child or vulnerable adult abuse. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. It looks like the warrant was issued with a bond of $10,000. Would the state like to be heard beyond the recommendation of a 200?
Yes, Your Honor. One moment. Let me pull up the correct screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see the additional information here now. Let me review this for a second.
Thank you, Judge. It is.
Judge, I don't
Right.
have any additional information on this case. Can I be provided with that as well?
It's the information that's on the state's recommendations.
Okay.
They weren't put in the file
Counsel,
this morning, so I'm looking.
Counsel, I don't know that I can release that information under work product rules.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Poston.
Your Honor, this is a case that I'm not entirely sure that I can make an effective argument without disregard. Your Honor, the victim in this one is dead. There was neglect, evidence of brutal trauma. There has been there's a prior for the same crime, and it looks like the person elevated to the point where they finally finished the job. Indicia of long-term neglect. Defendant was absolutely indifferent when life-saving efforts were being made, and defendant has made rather bizarre comments about wanting to flee. $250,000.
And defense.
Judge, I have none of this information. I can't respond to any of that. All I can respond to is what's on pretrial services. We're asking that she's released to pretrial services. If she were released, she'd go home to her husband. She has ties to Tucson. She's never been arrested on this matter before. She was not aware of these charges. She has confirmed housing. And additionally, Judge, she did complete probation in 2024 for a 2020 case. So we're asking that she's released to pretrial services based on her probation. Additionally, she's amenable to probation. So we're asking that she's released to pretrial services. None of this information is anywhere that I've seen.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, does the judge have the full narrative?
No, I only have the information you provided in the.
I'm going to send this. I forgive me for causing any delays, but Your Honor, this is one that warrants everybody seeing. I will go ahead and send this.
So are you sending additional information?
I'm sending the document. This ought not go in. I'm sending you the documents that I thought you had. One moment, Your Honor.
Great.
And counsel, it's Twilight Haggerty at Pima. Counsel, your email?
Yes, and you should have it still.
Sending it. Judge, I still have the Gmail address, so forgive me if I sent it to the wrong one just now.
So far, I haven't received it at either address.
Let me send it to your email address. One moment.
I haven't received anything either.
It might just be taking a moment. Should we skip over this one and come back to it at the end?
I'm resending it now, but it is the court's discretion. Should get any moment now, Your Honor.
All right, now I have received it.
Thank you. Counsel, did you receive it?
Yes.
Great. Has council had an opportunity to finish reviewing the information?
No, Judge, there's a lot of information. I did look at it briefly. I do believe that there's a lot of facts in here that are going to be possibly litigated in the case. Based on the information here, I still ask that she's released to pretrial services or a lower bond, a significantly lower bond.
And Mr. Poston, is it correct that she was originally served via summons?
I don't have that information, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is Andrea with pretrial. Our available records indicate the defendant was served with the warrant just today, or excuse me, yesterday, it looks like.
Okay, so there wasn't a previous, was there a previous appearance that she failed to appear for, though?
Not that we can find in this case, no, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Then, thank you. All right. So I am going to order a bond of $25,000 cash or secured. If you post that, ma'am, you'll be released to pretrial services. Additional orders will be no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services. No unsupervised contact with minors. And your next court date will be March 4th at 1:30. That's for your arraignment at Superior Court. The jail will make you available for that hearing. And if you have posted bond and are released prior to that date, it will be your responsibility to appear. If you do not appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, you're excused for today.
Moreno?
Oh, thank you. Oh, I just couldn't find the button. Oh, I see it there. Thank you. Yep. All right, please state your name,
Daniel Moreno.
Mr. Moreno. This is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of aggravated assault, the deadly weapon, discharging a weapon within city limits, and possession of a weapon by a prohibited possessor. You also have, let's see. Additional charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument, and unlawful flight from law enforcement and endangerment. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you. I have also reviewed the interim complaint in the new charges, and I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $75,000 consecutive. So that would be in each case, and released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Mr. Poston, I have reviewed the information on your recommendations. Do you have additional information you'd like to share?
Your Honor, this is just a very, very disturbing pair of fact patterns. First, he gets into an argument, allegedly, at the Cobra Bar, shoots two people, then flees, and, oh, he's a prohibited possessor. And next, he leads police on a high-speed chase, and after he was trapped by the police who just outdrove him, he tried to ram his way out of the situation, and in doing so, injured a law enforcement officer. This person is a danger to the community.
And defense?
Judge, we're asking that Mr. Moreno's released to pretrial services. If you're not inclined, we're asking for a $10,000 bond. He is fully employed. He works in drywall. He's been consistently employed with the same employer for 5 years, and he's a lifelong resident of Tucson. And Judge, he is injured as well. He would like to tell you that he's injured.
Thank you. All right, I am going to order, sir, that you be held on a $50,000 bond that's going to be concurrent between the two cases. If you were to post that bond, you would be released to pretrial services. The further orders would be that you do not drive without a valid license, that you do not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons. If there are any firearms in your possession, that you surrender them to law enforcement, submit to any monitoring or treatment directed by pretrial services, No contact at all with the alleged victims. Do not return to the incident location. Your next court date will be March 7th. That's at 1:30 for a preliminary hearing. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. If you were to be released, it would be your responsibility to appear, and if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences of failing to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Yeah.
Nelson.
Please state your name.
Josie Nelson.
Mr. Nelson, it looks like you are here for your first appearance on a number of different matters. We've got Tucson City Court charges of theft, and then we have charges out of Pima County Superior Court for possession of narcotic drugs, aggravated assault, and shoplifting. It looks like also possession of drug paraphernalia and aggravated DUI. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender to represent you today. And you do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of this hearing. I reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And do you have the state recommendation for this one? Yes, sorry. And I have reviewed the information provided from the state and its recommendations, which include that you be held on consecutive bonds, one of $2,000 and one of $2,500 with release to pretrial services. If you are released, Mr. Poston, do you need to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
And defense?
Yes, Judge, we're asking that Mr. Nelson is released to pretrial services. There are no new charges. He was arrested on warrants, and he was in rehab when these notices came out. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services. Additionally, when these were dismissed and refiled, and he was in rehab at the time. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services. He recently got out of inpatient rehab. He's in the process of re-enrolling with Kodak. He's been enrolled with them in the past, and he's getting back into their program so he can maintain sobriety. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services, considering these were dismissed and refiled. And it appears solely at this point that he is taking proactive steps to work on any issues that may have led to past problems. Again, those are my words, not his words. So we're asking that he's released to pretrial services so that he can continue working on his sobriety and making sure that he maintains treatment.
Okay. So we'll go through the cases one at a time. On the possession of drugs, I am going to order that you're released to pretrial services. The conditions will be that you submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed, that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons. And your court date will be March 4th at 1:30 for an arraignment. That's in Superior Court. If you fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. And then on the shoplifting charge, I'm also going to order that you're released on your promise to appear. Your next hearing is going to be March 27th.
And Judge, just for clarity, that's a misdemeanor, right? The shoplifting is a misdemeanor?
I believe it is.
Okay, and that's in Justice Court.
Yes. And
Okay.
you'll
March
be
27th.
You'll be ordered to have no contact with the alleged victim and not return to the incident location. And then on the aggravated assault charge, in that case, I am going to order a bond of $2,000. And that you have, if you post it, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Do not drive without a valid license. Do not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not possess firearms or weapons. No contact with the alleged victim or the incident location. And abide by any previous conditions of release. Your next court date will be March 4th at 1:30 for a criminal arraignment. If you post bond and fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. And then turning to your Tucson City Court charges. The judge in that case has requested that I order that you be held on a bond of $250. I'm looking at the history of this case. That warrant was issued back in September. And you were here in August of 2024. It looks like on your initial appearance for that charge, when the September court date was set and released on your promise to appear. Are you able to provide dates for when he was in his rehab facility, counsel?
Last week.
Judge, he was in rehab from January 13th to February 20th.
All right. So I am going to honor the request for a $250 bond in the city court case. I'll appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender's Office to represent you. No contact with the alleged victim. Do not return to the incident location, and do not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. Your next court date is going to be March 7th at 1:45 p.m. for a video review if you remain in custody. If you're released, your next court date will be March 26th at 9:30. Those are both before Judge Maldonado. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Judge, I Mr. Nelson is not going to be able to post his bonds for the paraphernalia for that felony. Would you consider a $50 bond for time credit? So he's getting credit for that.
Sure. Is it too late to add that to Mr. Nelson's paraphernalia charge?
So ask for that, just so-
Yes, and we changed it to a bond of $50 and release to pretrial if posted. Okay, thank you. I have done that.
Thank you, Judge.
You do when you have.
Ojeda?
Please state your name.
Frank Ojeda, Junior.
Mr. Ojeda, you are here for your initial appearance on charges of domestic violence, aggravated assault, and animal cruelty. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You can hire the attorney of your choice. Today, I am appointing the legal defender's office to represent you in this case, and you have counsel seated with you today for the purposes of today's hearing. I have, considering your conditions of release, I have reviewed the interim complaint. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. Pretrial services was not able to contact the alleged victim. And I have also reviewed the state's request that you be held on a bond of $35,000 and if posted that you be released to pretrial services. I'm probably thinking at this moment of a bond of about $25,000. Mr. Poston, do you need to be heard further?
Your Honor, he's an NVCAS, a 4 and a 6, and not only did he allegedly choke out in the course of a beating, choked out the victim, causing her to have difficulty breathing and also bruising up her neck. He also thrice abused an animal that sustained an injured leg. And it does qualify as DV. The individual is the significant other.
Thank you. Defense.
Judge, we're asking that you reconsider your inclination and release Mr. Ojeda to pretrial services, or we're asking that you consider a $5,000 bond. He is fully employed. He has lifelong ties to Tucson, and based on what I'm seeing in pretrial services, he has no felony priors.
Thank you. So, sir, I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $25,000. This is based on my concern about your risk to the victim's safety in the community. That will be cash or secured. If you are able to post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. Additional orders will include that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you possess no firearms or weapons, that you surrender any firearms that are in your possession, submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, that you have no contact of any kind with the alleged victim, Abby Kendall, and that starts immediately, no contacting her from jail, that you do not go to her residence or workplace, and that you also do not have any contact with any domestic animals or pets. Your next court date is going to be March 7th. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is scheduled for a preliminary hearing. That court date could change, so stay in touch with your attorney. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. And if you are released, then you will be responsible to appear. If you do not appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
I talked to her.
She has no. Push, help me understand. Sarah?
Please state your name.
Ezekiel Plata.
Mr. Para, this is the time set for your initial appearance. It looks like you have charges of aggravated assault, aggravated harassment, and aggravated domestic violence. They are all domestic violence related charges. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And I have reviewed information from the interim complaint about the allegations. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. And I have reviewed the request from the state that you be held on a bond of $30,000 and pretrial services if that bond is posted.
Good job on money.
Given the nature of the offenses, I am probably looking at setting a bond close to that amount. Do you need to be heard further, Mr. Poston?
I don't want
No,
to.
Your Honor.
And defense, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Judge. We're asking that Mr. Para is released to pretrial services. Any bond is going to be akin to no bond for Mr. Para. He's unable to post any bond, so we're asking for pretrial services or a significantly lower bond, given he's not going to be able to pay it. He's a lifelong resident of Tucson, and the victim in this case does not object to his release.
Mr. Poston, do you know if it's the same victim in the 4 prior DV-related convictions in the past 84 months?
Let me check, Your Honor. One moment.
Thank you.
It does not say, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to order, sir, that you be held on a bond of $15,000. That'll be cash or secured. If you are able to release, or if you are able to post that bond, you would be released to pretrial services. I'm going to order that you submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you commit no acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons. The victim did indicate that she was willing to have contact with you, but based on the information before me, I am going to order no contact with the alleged victim at this time. Do not go to her residence or her workplace. Were you living with her? So I'm going to allow you to return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings. It is possible that that order will change at a future court date once victim services has had a chance to speak with her, and you've had a chance to speak with your attorney, and you can always request a modification of the conditions of release. But at this point in time, I'm ordering no contact at all with Kelly Howard, including while you remain in custody. Your next court date is going to be March 7th at 1:30 p.m. That is for a preliminary hearing at Pima County Justice Court. If you were to be released and fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
So I'll be here until the 7th?
unless you either post the bond or work on a motion to modify your conditions of release. Yes. All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Judge, I'm sorry, I feel like I always, okay, with the misdemeanors, I always confuse them.
I do also have, sir, Tucson City Court case that I failed to notice at the bottom of the file. So you have domestic violence, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct charges out of Tucson City Court. I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear at those cases. And your next court date will be March 25th at 1:30. That'll be before Judge Millian. No contact with the victim in that case. Do not go to the victim's residence. You may return one time, as in the other case, to pick up belongings as needed. And I am going to appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender to represent you. Do not commit any acts of domestic violence or possess or consume illegal drugs or alcoholic beverages. And if you fail to appear for your hearing in that case, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. You're excused for today.
Quick question.
Are you missing any other people that we've already done? Are there any other ones I should have sent you but haven't? Oh, the others. Okay. All right, I'll just. Yep. Thank you.
Your Honor. It has been asked if we could waive Ratcliffe's presence when it is not in the right state of mind to sit here.
Has that been requested by the defendant?
It sounds like he might not be able to come to court, is what they're saying.
All right, and would it, should I continue this for a different initial appearance session, or are you asking that I just set his next hearings without telling him?
Judge, I'm gonna ask that we continue to this evening, and maybe he'll be in a better state by then.
All right, that's what I'll do.
That's Ratcliffe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Martinez.
Please state your name.
Cita Martinez Pedro Jose.
Mr. Zita Martinez, this is the time set for your initial appearance on charges of shoplifting. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire the attorney of your choice. I am appointing the public defender to represent you. And you do have counsel seated with you today for the purposes of today's hearing. It looks like immigration has placed a hold on you so that if you were to be released today, you would be released to immigration and likely unable to return to deal with this case. In light of that, I would generally post a bond so that you, or order a bond so that you would be able to remain here at the Pima County Jail to handle this case before being released to ICE custody. Would anyone like to be heard further?
Yes,
No,
Judge.
Your Honor, but I will need to ask that Mr. Moreno be brought back after this one. There's additional information.
Okay.
Judge, I'm asking for a $1,000 bond for Mr. Zita Martinez. Given the ICE hold, if without the ICE hold, I ask that he's released to pretrial services, but because of the ICE hold, I'm asking for a nominal bond for time credit.
All right. I will order a bond of $500, cash or secured. And if you happen to be released, sir, if that ICE hold goes away and you are able to post your bond, do not have any contact with the alleged victim or return to the incident location. Your next court date is going to be March 7th. That is set for 1:30 as a preliminary hearing. That hearing date can change, so stay in touch with your attorney. If you are released and fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thanks. You're excused for today. Yeah, thanks. And then give me just a moment.
My apologies, Your Honor. It looks like pretrial's website didn't have the information updated.
All right. And
Judge, if I could just get one more moment to speak to Mr. Zita Martinez about the ICE hold really quick. He has questions for me.
oh yes, I'm fine with that. I feel like I should have been able to finish by 11, but it was a little more complex. Let me look. I'm not. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me initial review. Adjudication. Oh,
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I do apologize, Your Honor. We do need to bring Moreno back.
yes, I can see that. I can. It looks like, oh, maybe if I click amend.
I don't even know if we're gonna change anything. I'm just trying to what how to do it.
All right.
Is he in the pit? Are we?
Do we need somebody?
And Mr. Can we just, let's just ask what the information is going to be, and then we'll decide if we need to bring him back.
Your Honor, he's being held. He was on release in CR 2024-2765. The state's needs to bring to the court's attention and will be asking for him to be held no bond.
Judge, can I go get him? This seems insignificant. Should.
Oh, I
definitely
wouldn't change the order without without you going to get him.
Okay.
But is this the one where the original request was no bond? And then it was amended?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
No.
Wait.
Mr. Marino, the state has asked that we recall your case. Let me. All right, Mr. Poston, you can go ahead and make your argument.
Your Honor, the state did not have the information that apparently this individual is already on release in case number CR 2024-2765, and he was on release in that case, and then he incurred these new charges. Therefore, the state asked that he be held no bond and no bond hearing be set within the statutory limits.
Defense?
Judge, this information was available, on pretrial services, so I ask that the release conditions remain. If not, I'm asking that no bond hearing is set.
All right, so if I set a no bond hearing, that's going to be on March 3rd at 2:30. That would be a sooner time for him to be seen again. So does that have any impact on what he would prefer, what his argument is?
Judge, I mean, Judge, I just asked that the bond remains at $50,000 and it's not changed, because this information was available prior. If that doesn't convince you, then I don't believe I can request anything other than a no bond hearing set within 10 days.
Okay, then I am going to maintain what I had previously ordered.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, but under the rules, with respect, Your Honor, under the rules, if the state requests a no bond, it is not discretionary.
I understand that, but I already made an order and the state did not make that request at that time. And then the state asked to amend the order, and that's what I am denying.
And very well. With respect, Your Honor, what happened was the website wasn't updating for me and I didn't have the information showing that he was on release. And therefore, had I that information at the time that I made the recommendation, it would have been absolutely a no bond. So there is no malfeasance or any neglect on the part of the state.
Judge, I maintain that I had that information on pretrial at the time.
May very well be computer error on my end, but Your Honor, again, it's when the state asks for something like that, it is not considered discretionary. And the state did make a good faith effort to catch the error prior to going off the record entirely this morning.
Does either council have anything to cite, any precedent or anything they'd like me to take into consideration given the procedural circumstances we're in?
Yes, Your Honor. One moment, please. Your Honor, the state cites to Article 2, Section 22A2 of the Constitution of the State of Arizona, which states in relevant part, and what I'm seeing here is all persons charged with crime shall be bailable by sufficient sureties except felony offenses committed when the person is already admitted to bail on a separate felony charge and where the proof is evident or the presumption great as to the present charge. Now, the latter part is exactly the substance and the standard that the state will be expected to meet at the no bond hearing, presumption great and proof evident. Now, as far as the other portion, whilst the person is already admitted to bail on a separate felony charge, that is the case here, Your Honor, and therefore the defendant does not have the right to bail. And in this case, Your Honor, what happens here is quite honestly, pretrial's website has a nasty habit of crashing and not updating, and the state has a very limited time, in this case, less than 6 minutes per case to read, evaluate, and recommend, not to mention all the computer procedures one has to go through to make these recommendations. So, Your Honor, it was not present when I first drafted my recommendation for this defendant, but it clearly, based on what defense counsel said, came up later. However, at that point, the state has already moved on to the other umpteen other recommendations. This defendant has no right to bond in this case. The state has opted to request that the court hold this individual no bond pending a no bond hearing, and it has always been the state's experience that it is not a discretionary issue on the part of the court when the state makes such a request. Admittedly, the state.
Go ahead.
Admittedly, the state's initial request was for bond. However, it was brought to my attention that there was that information that updated later, and here we are.
And Mr. Poston, do you also agree that it's discretionary whether the state asks for that or not?
State has the option to ask for no bond should that criteria exist. At the time the state made the initial recommendation, that criteria was not present to the state's knowledge. Subsequent to being made aware of it, the state asked for the defendant to be brought back and the modification.
And defense, do you have anything to cite to that would suggest that I am allowed to maintain my prior order?
Judge, I don't have any precedent to point to. However, the holding clients no bond is not obligatory on the state. The state did not request it. There was an order made. This information was available at the time. The state did not request that he's held no bond. The order has been made. I ask that you do not alter the order.
Okay.
And Your Honor, the information may have been there, but it wasn't in state's possession because when I went to pretrial's website, it hadn't been updated. Had I known the option there, every day of the week, this would have been hold not bond.
Nice. I use the same pretrial services website. I had this information.
All right, I am going to maintain my prior order at this time because I don't have anything before me that suggests I cannot do that. And you know, we all look at the information as the hearings are being called, in addition to looking at it ahead of time. Anyone is welcome to file a motion to reconsider if that's appropriate in this case. I'm not totally sure that it is, but I'm going to maintain the prior order, and Mr. Moreno, you're excused for today.
All right, thank you.
If I clicked amend and was playing around with the things, do I need to issue an amended if I kept it the same? Just cancel. Thank you. All right. I don't have anything else for today. Council, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.